So after day 3 and 1 retirement of the 5th test, it's time to ask George. George, I think it's only fitting that we start with Stuart Broad, who's retired in the last hour from all cricket. Somewhat taken us all aback. What's your sort of instant reaction to that?
Oh, instant reaction, you don't want to know. I had plans for the evening. How are they looking? But seriously, he's been an absolutely fantastic cricketer. Obviously the record's brilliant. He's been involved in loads of great moments, highs and lows, of course. He talked about the press conference he's just given about that time he was hit for those 6s by Yuvraj, which he talked about as a sort of growing point of his career. But I mean, so many high points, not least in Ashes series, England's greatest ever Ashes wicket taker. The thing that I admired most, for what it's worth, and you could see it in there, couldn't you, was his, enthusiasm. Just absolutely loves the game, still loves the game now as much as he ever did. Talks about it with such joy and passion. And that's what I think keeps you going. I remember writing a bit about him before, and I can't remember what it was, I'm afraid, but he had bowled a lot of overs in the day and he'd given loads, and I'd written a piece about how tiring and how difficult the life of a fast bowler was. And I remember him texting me a picture of his toes that evening, and all the nails had come off, and you don't really necessarily see that side of him, because I think he's learnt not to whine in public about the physical pain. But obviously you go through a lot of that as a fast bowler. And I'll say again, he reinvented himself when he got to 31, 32, 33, an age when other fast bowlers are calling it a day. And came back again with more skills, relearnt the outswinger, learnt the wobble seam, decided to pitch it up more and become a better bowler in that regard. Still prepared to learn new tricks as an old dog. Loves the game, and as a little prediction, I think it was Rory Dollard who pointed it out to me. He'll go on to become the sort of Lineker of cricket. He could even become a Richie Benaud type figure in English cricket and presenting, and there's no higher praise than that.
What was nice is that not all sports people get the ending that they necessarily deserve,
well, very few.
And he felt like he was really content in the decision that he'd made.
Well, he'll feel a lot better if England win in the next day or two, I'm sure. But I mean, you forget, don't you? But how many careers end on a physio's bed, or after an operation, or the captain or coach, selector coming up, arm on the shoulder? It's not going to happen. Most. I mean, 99%. So what's he ended up with? 600 test wickets? Bloody hell. It's incredible. 948 first class. Wouldn't it be nice to finish with 958 this time tomorrow? But no, I think that people, all around the world, be it in England or Australia, will admire the passion he's had. The statistics are incredible. And, been a great servant of English cricket and a lot of fun to watch. It's going to be very different without him around in the next few years.
Let's continue on a theme then, and Goonerman49 asks, who do you think will take over from Broad after
they're big old shoes, eh? Maybe Gus Atkinson at Surrey is the most obvious. I mean, of people who haven't played, maybe Sam Cooke gets the chances. Not exactly the same, but he's been knocking on the door for a long time, and obviously people like Josh Tongue. But I suppose he replaced Hoggard and Harmison, really. They were big shoes too, weren't they? So, huge job. But I think, Atkinson's the one who springs to mind.
Let's give this fascinating ongoing test, a cursory glance. And Jack Rawle asks, are we now at the point where we can put the Zach Crawley debate to bed? You've led a lot of the discussion around that. I mean, he's nailed it. He's scored 480 runs in the series. I mean, no one has scored more than that in an Ashes series in England this century. So he scored more runs in an Ashes series than Alistair Cook ever made in England. Bearing in mind how difficult opening's been in England, that's a brilliant effort. And not just that, he scored almost 90 runs per 100 balls, which is incredible. I mean, that used to be seen as an incredible mark in ODI cricket. You're only going back 8 years, or something. And he takes very good catches in the slips as well. I wouldn't have picked him at the start of the series. I've always been a bit of a fan. But I thought the way to get Stokes up the order and keep Folkes in the side was to leave Crawley out. And, he's answered that sort of criticism in the best possible way. He's scored a lot of runs in that selfless way of his.
And I think he has improved. I think he is a bit tighter. And, got nothing but praise for it, really. Yeah, I mean, of course the argument comes back. It doesn't mean he's in this team for 10 years, but the selectors deserve some praise for sticking with him. Of course they do.
Josh Caswell asks, is the root scoop the best shot in cricket? He seems to nail it 99% of the time.
It's an incredible shot. I don't know whether it's, there's a lot of lovely shots, aren't there? But yeah, it's a brilliant shot. I mean, Harry Brooks' sort of lofted drive today was pretty gorgeous. It's incredible. But the Jimmy Anderson reverse sweep, that's something, isn't it? The Jimmy Anderson hook at Manchester, that was something too.
Background Noise asks, if England win this test, what do you think Australia's self-assessment will be of their series?
Really good question. I think that they'll be very, very disappointed. To go 2-0 up and not win the series would be hugely disappointing. But let's be honest, they came here to retain the Ashes, and they have done that. But I think they'll be very, very disappointed. We're not there yet. Well, we're not there yet. It wouldn't be the brilliant game it is if it was predictable, and we've had a series full of such incredible twists and turns. I think the wicket's still quite flat. From a biased English perspective, I'd love England to have got another 70, to be honest. So Australia have still got a sniff, but it's like 80-20 to England at this stage.
Adam asks, how much will we miss watching Moeen bat if this is his last test innings? Is a mix of elegant style and frustration. Yeah,
I mean, I wrote about it in some detail right before the Manchester game when, it was clear that we were coming to the end, because that will be his last test innings, I would think. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty confident it will be. I thought that one of the slightly frustrating things is that in his last 3 or so test innings, he's batted properly. Even with the groin injury, which is clearly an issue, I thought he's shown what he could have done. And so it's been a brilliant career, obviously, and again, he's won 2 World Cups. And been a part of some really memorable test moments. When he was a boy, none of us thought he would take 200 test wickets, I can tell you that. I did think he would average more than whatever it is, 28 with the bat. But, he was always the man who was accommodating to others, and he probably wouldn't have played as many tests if he hadn't done that. It pains me a bit that he's not rated by everyone, but I thought he got a really, really rousing reception here. And, I would think that most English cricket followers, cricket lovers, would have a huge amount of fondness for him. And of course he's, had a role off the pitch as well, which is, like, I think Marcus Trescothick's biggest role has been off the pitch. In fact, I'm sure it has. Maybe Moen's has too. And he hasn't always, when he started his career, he was very keen to be a spokesperson. He basically said, I'm British, I'm proud, and was very happy and keen to explain and be the sort of poster boy for inclusivity. And I think that's become quite tiring for him, but I think he's done a really, really good job of it and just sort of helped in understanding and inclusion, and I think that stuff matters.